Do you remember when I said reading is thinking? Today's reading is thinking strategy is make a prediction. This is a picture of a crystal ball. Some people think that you can tell the future by looking into them. Well, that might be unlikely. Wouldn't it be neat if you could tell the future? But telling the future is very, very hard. So we have to resort to another strategy. That strategy is called making a prediction. When you make a prediction, you're just making an educated guess as to what could happen next. For example, you're a kid now, but someday you'll be an adult and you'll probably have a job. So you can make a prediction about what your job will be when you grow up. It's unlikely you'll be a professional statue, but you could be a computer programmer, or a teacher, a professional basketball player, an artist, or even a mechanic. You might be right or you might be wrong, and in either case, it's okay, because the mere act of making predictions helps our brains grow and helps us be interested in what's going to happen next. So when you're reading, you should be thinking about what will happen next in the story. Please take a moment to pause this video and go get your reading journal, because we have a definition we're going to write down. Make sure your pencil is sharp and be ready to write. First, we will write in the table of content. Pause the video and in the table of contents write down page 2, prediction. Now turn to page 2 because we're going to write down the definition of prediction. Pause the video and write down this definition. A prediction is when you think about what might happen next. Keep this page open because in a moment I'm going to read a story to you, but I'm going to stop before the end, and you're going to need to write down or draw a picture of what you predict will happen next in the story. Today's story is an ancient fable called The Boy Who Cried Wolf that comes from a book called Stories That Never Grow Old by Watty Piper. There are not a lot of pictures in this story, so you'll have to visualize, which is one of our reading is thinking strategies, and be ready to make a prediction. I now present to you The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Here we go. Many years ago, in a beautiful valley in Greece, a poor farmer had built his house. His most valued possession was a flock of sheep. They gave wool for clothing and meat for the table, and the farmer guided them carefully day and night. Often he took his young son to the pasture where the sheep grazed. The boy loved to go with his father. He liked to play with the lambs and to eat bread and cheese under a tree at noontime. When he was thirsty, he drank from a stream that ran through the meadows. One day his father taught him to carve a pipe from a willow twig and to play little tunes on it. Years went by, and one day the farmer said to his son, "You're old enough to guard the sheep now, and there is other work about the farm that I should do. Go with them to the pasture and guard them, as I have taught you to do." At first, the young shepherd enjoyed taking care of the flock. He kept the lambs from straying and found new meadows when the sheep had eaten all the grass in the field. To amuse himself, he made up new tunes to play on his pipe. But after a while, he began to find the work tiresome. "Here I am," he grumbled to himself. with only a lot of stupid animals for company. I like to hear the sound of a human voice once in a while, but all I hear is the silly bleating of a flock of sheep. Baa, 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 he complained to his father. I'm tired of spending all my time with a flock of stupid sheep. I'm sorry, son, the father replied, but there is no one else to send. For many years I've watched the flock, but now there is other work that needs to be done. In a few years your brother will be old enough to act as shepherd. For the present there is no one except you whom I can trust to guard the sheep. The boy felt ashamed. He knew how hard his father had worked to give his family a comfortable home and enough to eat. So he tried hard to take an interest in the sheep, and for a time he was content. Then he began to feel sorry for himself again. No one ever led such a stupid life as mine, he thought. I wish a wolf would come from the forest. That at least would give me a little excitement. Then an idea came into his head. The people of the village can hear me if I shout, he said to himself, and raising his voice, he shouted, "Help, help! Wolf! Wolf!" Oh, the villagers came running with spears and pitchforks, but when they reached the pasture, of course there was no wolf. The boy told them that the wolf had run back into the forest. He's lying to them. Some of the men doubted him, but a few felt sorry for the boy and stayed with him for the rest of the day. A few days later, he decided to try the same trick again. "Help, help! Wolf, wolf!" he shouted, and again the villagers came to his aid. He's lying again. This time, however, the few who had been so friendly before were suspicious when they found that there was no wolf. "If there had been a wolf here," said the mayor of the village, "there would be some tracks of his paws in the soft earth beside the stream." The boy pointed out some tracks, but the mayor said they had been made by sheep, not by wolves. No one stayed with the young shepherd this time, and as they went back to their work, the villagers were very angry. "I believe that boy was deceiving us." Deceiving us is another way of saying lying to us, one said. "I'm sure of it," another agreed. "If he calls again," said the mayor, "let us pay no attention to him." I'm going to turn the page, but I'm going to cover up part of what we're about to read, because in a moment you're going to need to make a prediction about what's going to happen. A few days later, Wolf really did come from the forest and dashed into the middle of the flock. "Help, help! Wolf, wolf!" the young shepherd shouted in terror, for he had nothing but a shepherd's crook as a weapon, and he knew he could not overcome a huge, fierce wolf with that. Under this paper there are more words, because that's where the story ends. What I'd like you to do now is open your reading journal, and you may draw a picture, or you might write some words, or you might do both. In fact, if you'd like, you could get an adult to write down what you say. And tomorrow I will read the rest of the story, and you can see if your prediction is right or wrong. It's okay if it's wrong, as long as you have made a prediction that has some kind of thinking behind it, because if you're just making a wild guess, it's not really a prediction. But if you really think it through and think about, the villagers came the first time, the villagers came the second time, but they seemed suspicious because they'd been lying. What's going to happen now? Open up that journal and get started.